Hello, and thank you for joining us today in our study of the book of Psalms. Today we're in Psalm 143. We're coming down toward the last few of the Psalms at this point. And we once again have a Song of David. And this one is once again going to be a song in the midst of trouble and in the midst of persecution. As you look at the song, it's not overly long, it's just about 12 verses in length. And yet it's going to have two very different sides to it. So let's look at what David has to say in Psalm 143. Beginning in verse 1, we read, Hear my prayer, O Lord. Give ear to my supplications. In your faithfulness, answer me, and in your righteousness. Do not enter into judgment with your servant, for in your sight no one living is righteous. For the enemy has persecuted my soul. He has crushed my life to the ground. He has made me dwell in darkness, like those who have long been dead. Therefore my spirit is overwhelmed within me. My heart within me is distressed. I remember the days of old. I meditate on all your works. I muse on the work of your hands. I spread out my hands to you. My soul longs for you like a thirsty land. Answer me speedily, O Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, lest I be like those who go down into the pit. Cause me to hear your loving kindness in the morning, for in you do I trust. Cause me to know the way in which I should walk, for I lift up my soul to you. Deliver me, O Lord, from my enemies. In you I take shelter. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Your spirit is good. Lead me in the land of uprightness. Revive me, O Lord, for your name's sake. For your righteousness' sake, bring my soul out of trouble. In your mercy, cut off my enemies, and destroy all those who afflict my soul. For I am your servant. As you look at this psalm, you have David who's going to deal with two different factors in the course of the psalm. The first one is the level of persecution that he is under. In verse 3, he says, For the enemy has persecuted my soul, he has crushed my life to the ground, he has made me dwell in darkness like those who have long been dead. David says that he is overwhelmed, that his soul is crushed, that he is dwelling in darkness, that idea of depression, and that he is like those that have long been dead. He is under immense emotional strain and turmoil. As a matter of fact, he asks God not to judge his servant, not to judge David, because in his sight no one is righteous. And David certainly doesn't feel like he would be acceptable before God at this particular juncture. He says that his spirit is overwhelmed, verse 4. His heart is distressed. And he remembers the days of old. He remembers how things used to be, and he wants to get back to that point. But this is a time of deep darkness for David. We don't know exactly in what setting or under what circumstance this particular song is written. And yet, David is completely overwhelmed. He does not have any confidence in himself. He does not have uh, any help, any motivation for what it is that should be done or how to get out of this particular issue. And so he goes to God about it. And then in the second half, beginning in verse 7, you have the plea for God to answer him speedily, for God to remember him, that his trust and his confidence is in him, and yet, it's kind of like, this is an emergency. I really need your help right now. He says, Cause me to hear your loving kindness in the morning, in verse 8. Cause me to know the way that I should walk. He's looking for answers. He's looking for the means to be able to come out of the hole. we deal with various times in our lives where this very much fits our circumstance. And whether they be major problems, whether they be smaller problems, whether we're here for a long time in this condition or a short time, almost everyone is going to deal with this particular mindset at some juncture of their life. David's point and David's request is to have the Lord deliver him, to have the Lord lead him. And in doing so, he's willing to listen to what God has to say, willing to do what God wants him to do. He wants the Lord to revive him and to show him mercy. As we deal with those times, so many times we go every place but God because we feel like God's not going to answer, or God's not going to do anything, or God's not able to help. When the reality is exactly the opposite. That there are places that we can turn to where God will help us through His Word. We can go to Him in prayer. We can seek Him out. And we can receive help from Him. You know, our desire should not just be to go to God when things are good, and not just to go to God as an option of last resort, but to go to Him at all times, and to be ones who recognize and are willing to listen to what He has to say in every given circumstance. Here, David is in a pit of despair. He is struggling and he is overwhelmed and he does not know what to do other than he knows to whom he should go. And that should be our heart and our mind as well. These are the things that I see in Psalm 143. I hope that they're beneficial to you. Next time, we'll come back and we'll look at Psalm 144. Thank you so much for watching the video today and for joining us, and I hope that you'll join us next time. But until then, have a great day.